In this historic photograph captured in 1871, we see a solitary man sitting in a small wooden boat equipped with a mast and a sail. He is on the banks of the Colorado River, one of the largest and most important rivers in North America. The surrounding scenery is the Black Canyon, an impressive rock formation that cuts through Mojave County in the state of Arizona. A group of Native Americans from the Pyute tribe, who lived in the Great Basin region, were photographed near the town of Cedar in the state of Utah in 1872. The Pyute tribe was one of the three that made up the western branch of the Numic linguistic family, along with the Mono and the Kawaisi. The Twin Peaks are two rocky hills rising on the horizon of Green River City in the state of Wyoming, United States. They were recorded in a historic photograph taken by explorer William Henry Jackson in 1872 during a geological expedition in the region. The Twin Peaks serve as a natural landmark for travelers and local residents. In 1867, a group of geologists and engineers worked under the leadership of Clarence King, a renowned American scientist and explorer. They were part of the Geological Exploration of the 40th Parallel, a government program aimed at mapping mineral resources along the route of the future Union Pacific Railroad. In 1867, photographer Timothy H. O'Sullivan captured an impressive landscape at Pyramid Lake, a saltwater lake in the state of Nevada, United States. The lake is the largest remnant of the ancient Lake Lahontan, an inland sea that once covered much of western Nevada. In the lake, there are several tufa rock formations, a type of limestone formed by mineral precipitation in thermal springs or alkaline lakes. This is a photo taken in 1873, showing a vast landscape of the Canyon de Chelly National Monument in the state of Arizona, United States. At this location, there is a camp called Camp Beauty, where you can see some fabric tents and a structure that may be a shelter. The camp is situated at the bottom of the canyon, surrounded by tall rock formations that rise like towers. The Old Mission Church is a structure that once belonged to the Zuni people, a Native American tribe living in western New Mexico. The church was built by Spanish missionaries in the 17th century, but was abandoned after conflicts between the Zunis and the colonizers. The photo shows the church in ruins, surrounded by the Zuni stone houses in the central square of the Hawiku village in 1873. The photo depicts a historic moment in the exploration of the American West. It shows the crew of the boat Picture, which was part of the expedition led by Lieutenant George Wheeler. The expedition's goal was to map and study the Colorado River and its tributaries. Photographer Timothy O'Sullivan, who captured various images of the landscape and the people he encountered along the way, is in the photo. In the year 1872, a group of explorers arrived at Browns Park, a remote mountainous region in the state of Colorado. They were impressed by the natural beauty of the place, which had rivers, lakes, forests, and wildlife. They decided to camp there for a few days to rest and study the local flora and fauna. Shoshone Falls is a stunning waterfall on the Snake River in southern Idaho, United States. It has a height of 65 meters, 14 meters higher than the famous Niagara Falls, and stretches almost 300 meters in width. The waterfall was formed about 14,000 years ago, when a massive glacial lake called Bonneville overflowed and carved the Snake River Canyon. In 1871, a man settled on a rock on the banks of the Colorado River. He watched the flowing waters and the rock formations rising around him. He was in Iceberg Canyon, a wild region that divided the states of Arizona and Nevada. He was part of a scientific expedition exploring the unknown territory. In this historic photograph, we can see the wagon carrying the darkroom of the famous photographer Timothy O'Sullivan, who captured scenes of the American Civil War and the Wild West. The wagon is pulled by 4 sturdy mules, traversing the arid and sandy terrain of Carson Sink, an endorheic basin that is part of the Carson Desert in the state of Nevada. Gold Hill was a mining community that emerged after the silver discoveries of the Comstock Lode, along with its neighboring town, Virginia City. Although smaller and more modest than Virginia City, Gold Hill had about 8,000 residents at the height of its prosperity, between 1868 and 1888. During this period, several Gold Hill mines, such as Yellow Jacket, Crown Point, and Belcher, yielded over $10 million each in dividends. In 1871, at the Illinois mine in the Pahranagat mining district of Nevada, a balanced wooden incline was constructed for gold mining. The incline consisted of parallel tracks connected to a pulley at the top of the tracks, allowing an ore car to be transported up and down the incline. In the year 1867, photographer O'Sullivan embarked on a journey to Virginia City, Nevada, in the United States. His goal was to capture scenes from the Savage and Gould and Curry mines, which were part of the Comstock Lode, a site with a significant amount of silver. To capture images of the miners working underground, O'Sullivan had to descend to a depth of 300 meters where light was scarce. In this setting, we see the highest part of Canyon de Chelly, a sacred place for Native American peoples who have lived there for centuries. The year is 1873, and the photographer captured the top view, showcasing the vastness and beauty of the canyon. The reddish rock walls stretch for miles, forming curves and cliffs. They contrast with the green vegetation growing at the bottom of the canyon, where a stream flows. In 1872, an impressive landscape rose to the north of the Colorado River Plateau, a region of rock formations and canyons in the southwestern United States. There, promontories rose, large land masses projecting over the valley, creating contrasts of colors and shadows. A group of Pyute tribe Native Americans, who lived in the Great Basin region of the United States, participated in an outdoor photography session on a sunny day in 1875. They organized themselves in 3 rows under the shade of a large tree, possibly located in Cottonwood Springs, an area in Washoe County, Nevada. In 1872, in the state of Utah, United States, an impressive geological phenomenon occurred: the merging of 2 large, deep valleys, carved by the action of water and wind over millions of years. These valleys, called canyons, were the Green and Yampa, which met at a point where the Green River split into 2 branches. Almost 150 years ago, photographer O'Sullivan found evidence of a visitor to the west who preceded his own expedition by more than 150 years, a Spanish inscription from 1726. This close-up view of the inscription carved in sandstone at Inscription Rock, New Mexico, reads in English, "By this place passed Ensign Don Joseph de Paiva Vasconcelos, in the year in which he held the council of the kingdom at his expense, on the 18th of February, in the year 1726. The Navajos, who called themselves Diné, the people, were a Native American group living in North America. They spoke a language of the Athapascan family and were part of the Southwest cultural area. They came from the north and settled on a plateau that crossed parts of Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. This was the largest Native American reservation in the United States in terms of territory. View of Casa Blanca, ruins of ancestral Pueblo, Anasazi, Native Americans in Canyon de Chelly, Arizona, in 1873. The cliff dwellings were built by the Anasazi more than 500 years ago. In the background, men pose on cliff dwellings in a niche and on ruins at the bottom of the canyon. Climbing ropes connect the groups of men. In 1867, a vessel called Nettie sailed on the Truckee River, which crosses the state of Nevada, United States. The mission of the boat was to explore the river's conditions and navigation possibilities in the western region of the state. From the top of a hill, one could observe the city of Santa Fe, founded by the Spanish in the 17th century. It was the year 1873, and the capital of New Mexico still retained its colonial architecture, with adobe houses and stone churches. Mamon, a Native American from the Mojave tribe, accompanied and translated for the explorers who traveled through the Colorado Territory in 1871 for several months. He served as a guide and interpreter for a scientific expedition led by John Wesley Powell in 1871. Highland City was a mining town that emerged around 1865 when workers from the Emma, Flagstaff, and other silver mines in Little Cottonwood Canyon settled in the region. The Emma mine was famous for having silver ore so rich that its owners managed to sell it for an exorbitant price to British investors in 1871. However, the depletion of Emma mine's ore caused an international scandal that involved the American ambassador to Britain and congressional hearings. In 1871, photographer Timothy O'Sullivan captured an impressive image of a rock formation in Arizona known as Cathedral Mesa. The photo shows the contrast between the arid surface and the Colorado River, which cuts through the scenery in the background. The sunlight illuminates the top of Cathedral Mesa, highlighting its peculiar shape and reddish color.